Welcome everybody, hope you are doing well. So I did a video yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, where Glenn Greenwald was on Tucker Carlson Tonight, and he also wrote a Substack post, and he highlighted how the people that have been arrested on January 6th and have been questioned were not even Parler users. They were actually Facebook, Twitter, YouTube users, and that kind of blows apart the whole narrative that the people that were at the January 6th event were using Parler to organize. And of course they weren't using Parler or Gab or any kind of alt tech to organize, because no alt tech platforms really have the tools and features for organizing events. There is one major social network which does have all those tools and features to organize events, and that is Facebook. Facebook has a calendar, it has an events feature, it has an instant messaging app, it has groups, it has all these things. And that's what Facebook is actually used for. That's one of the main use cases for Facebook, is to organize events and to organize meetings and to organize protests. Remember, it was the Arab Spring where Facebook was most proud and Twitter was most proud, because according to these social networks, and this is true, you guys can search the internet, these networks were used to bring about democracy in the Middle East during the Arab Spring. And I remember they were so proud of it. Facebook was so proud and Twitter was so proud. I think they even had, in one of the countries that was targeted for regime change and for a color revolution, they even called it something like the Twitter revolution. Maybe that might have been the Middle East, maybe that was Moldova or somewhere, I forget. But all of those color revolutions and those regime change operations that took place during the whole Arab Spring time period, they were also proud that Facebook and Twitter was playing a major role in the upheaval. And of course, the events in January 6th, it's only common sense that most of the people there, if not all the people there, were organizing via Facebook. Of course, and via Twitter and via YouTube. YouTube was used to disseminate much of the video content. Twitter, of course, was used to send the quick messages, and Facebook, of course, for its events, groups, and planning features. And so it obviously leads to the next question, the next logical move, which is Apple and Google should remove Facebook and Twitter from their app stores. Because if they remove Parler from their app stores under the assumption and under the reasoning that Parler was used to organize events on January 6th, then you have to remove Facebook and you have to remove Twitter from the app stores. And I say that because the Washington Post is now reporting that Facebook was being used to organize people during the quote-unquote Capitol riots, as the Washington Post frames it. And the Washington Post says Facebook had a giant role in coordinating the so-called Capitol riots, which now Trump has been impeached for. According to the Washington Post, and I quote, "A growing body of evidence shows that Facebook played a much larger role than CEO Sheryl Sandberg claimed in a Monday interview live streamed by Reuters, in what the Post described as deflecting blame." Now, Sandberg's, she's, a Clinton machine type of person. She's from that school. And she was put in Facebook. Obviously, we know why she was placed in Facebook. But she says, "I think these events were largely organized on platforms that don't have our abilities to stop hate, don't have our standards, and don't have our transparency." That's a flat out lie. There is only one platform that has the features and the abilities to organize, and that is Facebook. Only Facebook has all the features: instant messaging, groups, events, calendars, posts, videos. Only Facebook has all those features. So Sheryl Sandberg, who's the COO, by the way, the chief operating officer of Facebook, she was brought in from the Clinton camp to go into Facebook and kind of solidify the deep state connection that Facebook has. She's flat out, in my opinion, just lying. Flat out lying, and even the Washington Post can't hide it. The Washington Post even admits that Jeff Bezos owned Amazon, owned Washington Post even admits that Facebook played a larger role in the events on January 6th. And for Washington Post to say they played a large role means that they played pretty much a full role in what happened on January 6th. Now, Buzz Sexton says this: Amazon, Apple, and Google now have an ethical obligation to ambush and shut down Facebook. That's how we were told this works. And that's in reply to the Washington Post article. And Buck Sexton is 100% right. If Apple, Amazon, Google do not remove and shut down Facebook, then we know that the reason they're shutting down Parler has nothing to do with what happened in DC. Nothing. In which case, there needs to be a massive lawsuit against Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, Apple, Google. A massive lawsuit. It's just basic logic. And Gab, in a post from their website, they're also calling on Facebook and Twitter to be banned from the app stores following the Capitol riot. And they bring up all the points that I have made, and they also cite Sheryl Sandberg's interview on Reuters and the fact that the Washington Post and even and the Washington Post has completely debunked that. That says a lot when you have the Jeff Bezos Washington Post having to call out Facebook and Sheryl Sandberg. Granted, they're being very light on her by saying they must have played a bigger role or some type of role, but you know what the Washington Post means. They mean that Facebook played a huge role in getting people to organize on January 6th. Now, just on a side note, they're going so crazy with Gab and Gab's growth, big tech, and the deep state and the swamp. They're going so crazy with Gab's growth that they're now calling the ADL to take down Gab and to call for a DOJ investigation into Gab. So they're actually, because they can't censor Gab, because they can't deplatform Gab, because they can't cut Gab's servers out, because they can't remove Gab from the app stores, because they can't do any of these things to Gab. They can't disrupt Gab's payment system because Gab uses money, traditional money, checks and cash, and it uses crypto. They have a web progressive app, so you won't find them on the App Store. And of course, they built their own hosting infrastructure. They're going so crazy with this that they've now called the big guns, the ADL, to actually ask the Department of Justice, federal law enforcement, to investigate Gab. And of course, they use the excuse of January 6th. That doesn't fly, everybody. That does not fly, because if there's one social network that played an oversized role as to what happened on January 6th, it's Facebook. Twitter as well, YouTube as well, but Facebook is the only social network that has all the tools, to help people organize for any type of event. I don't care if it's a birthday party, I don't care if it's a house party, I don't care if it's a protest in London or if it's a protest in DC. It doesn't matter. Only Facebook has all these tools. And the Washington Post has now admitted as such. Sheryl Sandberg is trying to deflect and she's trying to bullshit her way out of it. No chance. The fact that they're getting the ADL to call to investigate Gab shows how scared they are that big tech is falling apart. Big tech is done, guys. We are entering a very new and exciting time, alt tech. Get your alt tech account. I don't care if it's Gab. I don't care if it's BitChute, Odyssey. Go on all of those. Minds. Minds is also a great alt tech platform, which a lot of people are not talking about. Minds is kind of like an alternative to Facebook. If Gab is like an alternative to Twitter, with much more. We have now Gab TV. But Minds is very much a much better Facebook. You can put blog posts up. They have videos. You can do long form posting. Check out Minds. It's really stable, very well built. And it's big. It's fairly big. It has a lot of activity. So check out Minds. We are in an alt-tech renaissance. We are in an alt-tech renaissance, and alt-tech will beat out big tech. I don't know how long it'll take. Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe 2 years. It doesn't matter. Alt-tech will win. Everyone is fleeing to alt-tech. So many people are going to be on alt-tech that all the crazy leftists on Twitter are going to have to start using Gab and Minds and BitChute. They're going to migrate there as well. Remember, guys, and I'll leave it on this note, Twitter has 300 million monthly active users. They're a public company. They rely solely on advertising. The easiest company to take down from the big tech, from Facebook, Amazon, Google, Twitter, the easiest company to knock out is Twitter. Twitter's small. It doesn't really have any type of robust type of business model. They aren't very well diversified. They're pretty much, as Biden would say, they're a one-horse pony. According to Biden, a one-horse pony. But 300 million active users is not that big. It's big, but it's not that big. Revenue model that relies solely on the advertising within the platform. Sponsored tweets. That's pretty much all they have. If you lose 20, 30 million people, you know what kind of a hit that's going to give Twitter on their bottom line? It's going to be a massive hit. Of those 10, 20 million people, if they tell 1 or 2 people as well, and they say Gab's a much more interesting platform, or Minds, or BitChute, or whatever, I'm on there, that's a big hit. People are going to start to leave Twitter. And they lost Trump, which is the most interesting person they had on their platform. So there's no reason to even be there. All Gab needs to do, all Minds needs to do, and I hope someone's listening to me from Gab or Minds, is start rolling out an embed feature. I don't know if they have it yet, but start rolling out an embed. So when people create posts and they write articles, they can start embedding the posts of people. Start thinking outside of your network and start getting into WordPress posts and articles and stuff like that. Once they do that, it's over. It's game over for Twitter. Because the only reason I even bother to use Twitter is when I'm interacting now with an article that I'm reading. That's it. Duran is not posting on Twitter. We're not posting on Facebook anymore. We're done. We're done with those networks. The only reason to even interact with those networks now is if I'm reading a news article and that news article has a tweet embedded in that article. But once Gab and Minds start doing that, and BitChute as well, so people can embed videos, once they roll out that feature or they start promoting that feature, it's game over. So anyway, guys, that's the video. Hit that subscribe button for BitChute. You'll find me on BitChute, so hit that subscribe button for BitChute. PayPal, Patreon, Subscribe Star, and Bitcoin. You'll find those links down below. Take care. And Duran Shop, guys. Don't forget the Duran Shop. Pick up some merch. It really helps out this channel. It's the Duran Magic Mug right here with the flag of South Africa. Take care.